And what was the breaking point for you? Where was the heartbreak?
No, I had a genuine heartbreak moment. I'd done my GAMSAT exam, I'd done my application, and I'd received an offer for an interview with University of Queensland. And you have one day where you can kind of accept the offer and schedule the interview. And so, unfortunately, sort of the week prior to that one day, I'd gone through a breakup and I was just having a miserable time of it, was not in my own head, and I missed the deadline for the interview offer. Completely slipped my mind, went to bed, woke up at 1 a.m. in a cold sweat because I just remembered that I'd missed my interview deadline. And I was calling the university, I was sending emails, is there any way I can get into this? And they said, no, you've missed it.
Wow.
Just brutal. 5 years of my life working up to trying to get that interview, and I slept through the alarm, so to speak, and missed it.
Welcome to Inside the Shoulder. I'm Kenneth Cutbush, a shoulder surgeon from Brisbane, and today I'm with Tristan Shuker, my research assistant. Now, Tristan, you're a key part of my life.
For better or worse, I assume.
I want to ask you, you trained in physiology. At 22, did you think that your life is going to turn out like this as a researcher?
Not at all. I think at 22, my goal was to be a doctor. I wanted to get into med school. I wanted to follow that avenue and get do clinical work and start doing that training. So I think for me, being where I am now and working in research in this capacity is very different to what I'd kind of anticipated even, 18, 20 kind of thing. Once because it's like when you're trying to get into that program and you're committed to that, not I'd say that grind, but that study that you need to make it in, having to pivot from that to a full-time research role is a big adjustment. Has been a big adjustment for me, definitely.
My experience getting to med school was a little bit different because I came in the old system, which was an undergraduate. So I came straight from school.
Right.
Well, back then we had the TE score, and if you got a 990, then you could get into medicine. And so I didn't have that initial grind. I've experienced it afterwards, very definitely. But this is what everyone's experiencing now. Tell me about that experience of trying to get into med school.
It's just I hesitate to characterize it as a slog, but it's a multi-year process. You're sitting in high school, you're going, okay, well, I want to be a doctor, but I haven't got the grades for whatever reason to get the direct entry program when it was still around, and I think it's finished now. They're not doing it anymore. But then you go, okay, well, I need to get a degree. What's my degree going to be in? Oh, well, I'll do science because it makes sense to step into medicine. Then you're in the degree and you're constantly thinking, how can I maximize my eligibility for medicine in this degree? Am I getting the right GPA? Am I getting the right grades? Am I getting the right content through my degree to prepare me for going into medicine? And then you're competing with everyone around you who's trying to do the same thing. So I think there's always that element of looking at someone across from you in lectures or in labs and going, okay, well, how can I do better than that guy, that girl? How can I excel in this and really make my case to get into medicine with not only my academic performance, but my performance outside academia, my activities, my lifestyle. It's kind of an all-encompassing sort of process.
And what was the breaking point for you? Where was the heartbreak or the heartache?
I had a genuine heartbreak moment. I think back in 2021, I'd done my GAMSAT exam, I'd done my application, and I'd received an offer for an interview with University of Queensland. So the way they structure that is you receive your offer for interview and you have one day where you can kind of accept the offer and schedule the interview. And so unfortunately, sort of the week prior to that one day, I'd gone through a breakup and I was just having a miserable time of it, was not in my own head, and I missed the deadline for the interview offer. So I got home, I think, at 8 or 9 o'clock, completely slipped my mind, went to bed, woke up at 1 a.m. in a cold sweat because I just remembered that I'd missed my interview deadline. And I was calling the university, I was sending emails, please, can I still do the interview? Is there any way I can get into this? And they said, no, you've missed it. You're out for the interview. That's it. We'll see you next year when you reapply. And for me, that was just like
wow,
just brutal. Like you literally 5 years of my life working up to trying to get that interview, and I slept through the alarm, so to speak, and missed it. And I think for me, I'm not a big believer in kind of cosmic signs, but that's if you're a believer in cosmic signs, that's definitely a cosmic sign that perhaps this isn't for you. And I just kind of went, okay, well, look, do I want to sink another 2 years, a year and a half into getting back up to this, or can I pivot some way and still get the things I want out of my life through a different avenue, essentially? And so that's what I decided to do. I went, okay, well, I'm not willing to really sacrifice another 2 years in exams and the money for those exams at the time. So I'm going to go into this research work.
So 1 week after a big emotional
Yep.
hit of a relationship breakup,
Yep.
you get that on top of it.
Just the double tap, just 1, 2, bang, bang, and then trying to navigate that. Brutal.
Right. So you never reapplied?
No, I think it's interesting. There's always kind of the niggle at your back of your mind, like, oh, you could just go and sit the exam. You could just do it again and just give it a shot. But I don't think, for me, for context, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. If I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. I want to do it to the best of my ability. And I don't think I can really commit to that now for medicine. So I think I'm just going to kind of direct my energy elsewhere and then go through with that. That's kind of where I'm at the moment.
So how would that 22-year-old you see where you are now? Working for me as a research assistant, busy job, high output.
Yeah. It's a tricky thing to kind of ask. Again, I think because there's such a big shift in that time frame in terms of where I was going and what I was looking to do. I think I'd probably be proud looking forward. I like to kind of switch it back. I'm not unhappy with how things have gone in the grand scheme of things. I'm still, I'm very proud to be involved in the work that we do and the research that we do and how I'm involved in that. And I think that's an important thing for me in terms of the scheme of my life and the scheme of our work. How a 22-year-old me would feel about it. Yeah, it's so difficult to give a down the line answer for that, just because again, it's such a big shift in my life and in the type of work that I do. And there was really, I think, a lot of fundamental experiences for me that came after that time. A lot of my sort of formative work in research has happened since then, which has really kind of shaped how I approach things now and how I value things and how I like to work. So it's I think, yeah, 22-year-old me would be happy and would be proud, I would hope. But it's always the question of, how would a younger, dumber version of yourself look at your life now, and what would they say? It's a bit tricky to be on top of that, I guess.
Hearing you talk about, the younger version of yourself, I've never asked you, where did you grow up?
So I'm a Brisbane boy. So I was born in Sunnybank and then grew up out in Redland Bay. So went to school out there. We lived in Sheldon for, God, probably 15 years, 15, 16 years of my life. My mum, she's a GP out there. So she had a practice out there for 10, 15 years as well. She's retired now. But yeah, I'm Brisbane born and bred.
And your dad?
So he's originally Kiwi, actually. He's got Kiwi ancestry, so I've got family over there. He's was working at the time as I was growing up in my mum's surgery, so he was doing practice management for her and all that sort of business. Now he's working as he does a lot of art. He's a mural painter and a sculptor and an artist. So it's always kind of interesting. It's been very interesting seeing that transition as well through my childhood, and just kind of neat to see what he's doing now. Yeah.
Tell me how you got interested in medicine and research. Was that a little bit from your mum being a GP?
Yeah, I think that was subconsciously a big impact on kind of how I got an interest in medicine. When you're a doctor's kid, you're spending a lot of time in doctor's surgeries. You leave school, go to the doctor's surgery, hang around, and then you go home. So you get that exposure to the environment, you see the patients, and you hear about the work. You hear, mum comes home, she's, oh, I did this today, I found this, I diagnosed this, da 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 da. And as you get older, you can kind of connect those dots and go, okay, well, I can see it from, what my mum was doing, but also I can see it from a patient perspective and what that means to them and how that's an important part of their life. And I think I really gravitated towards that patient impact, that like I want to make a difference. I want to do something good, and I want to do something that's rewarding. And for me, medicine just seemed like the way to go to achieve that. And I think I've brought that into to our research work as well. The reason we do this is because we want to do better for patients, and that's
Absolutely.
that's the drive, right? That's why you're doing it. And I always try and, I guess, circle back to that value in the work that we do, which I think has been really key for me.
I have this mental image of young Tristan sitting in his mother's GP practice doing his homework after school,
Yep, definitely.
dreaming of bigger things to come.
Bigger things to come. No, I think it's, you get that formative experience, and I think you get exposure to the team at a doctor's surgery, right? Like medicine these days, you say it's a team sport. It's not just between doctors, it's between doctors and admin, and those receptionists that I was spending time with, that looking after me after work while I'm consulting, they're kind of like my aunties, right? They're there for me, and they're keeping an eye out. So that really resonated with me when I ended up working in doctor surgeries later in my life, I think.
Tell me about your experience working here as a researcher.
Mm.
What's one of the important moments for you here?
Important moment for me here, I think, I don't know if I necessarily classify it as a moment, but I think kind of a gradual realization in the first few weeks that I worked here, working with the team, and just seeing how much everyone in the clinic
just cares about what they're doing. They have ownership and responsibility, and they want things to go well, not just for the sake of things going well, but for for the patient experience and for just helping people feel good through the process. And I think that was really incredibly motivating for me, because you're working in this small team of 8 or 9 people. Everyone cares, everyone's hustling, everyone's working hard, and I'm sitting there in the first 2 weeks going, I cannot get left behind on this. I cannot be the only one in here who's sitting back and going, oh well, I can just take it easy, or oh well, I don't have to care about this, or it's unacceptable. You have to push it. You have to be responsible. You have to take ownership. And I think that's kind of a big just a big motivator for me in the work that we're doing here as well. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I get it right every time and that I'm on top of everything, but I think it's being in that environment is a key part of why I come into work and why I do this.
We really do have a pretty cool team of people.
It's great.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen any admin team that is as knowledgeable, as motivated, and have such a I say a sense of integrity, but they care about everything that they do, and they care about everything that you do, and they want it to be represented and put forward in the right way. And I think that's just a huge boon and a huge accomplishment for the team.
Tell me what it was like, integrating in this fast-paced sort of environment.
It was interesting. I think I was very lucky in that I came into the role and the framework and the infrastructure had been set up. Brandon, the previous research assistant that you'd worked with for a couple of years,
Who's now a doctor.
Working
in Toowoomba.
Yeah, first year
internship. He wants to be a shoulder surgeon.
He's a lot of respect for Brandon, but when I came in and took over from him, he'd built that framework. He'd put in the time to structure everything and kind of organize it all. And so my role coming in was to just kind of steward that to a certain extent, and then see how much we could push it and see how we could grow it. So I was just very lucky that I'd had, what was the this is probably a bit of an exaggeration, the Newton quote, if I've seen further, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. Not quite that grand, but the same context. The success that I've had and the success that we've had with the research is because people have done that hard setup work, 9-10 years ago, that we're seeing the fruits of now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before you came to work in the clinic, you worked in transplant and hemorrhagic shock. What was it like moving from that world into the private practice world?
It's an adjustment. I think there's common themes in terms of the research, but I think coming from that environment, it's a very academic environment. And what I mean by that is you have a group of people that are working on a project that is kind of right at the very kind of tippy tip of a field, if that makes sense, right at the point of the needle. You come into a private practice or a more clinical world, everything is a bit more generalized. We're looking, obviously, we're looking at shoulder surgery, but we're looking at a lot of different procedures across shoulder surgery. We're looking at lots of different variables within that. And so I think I certainly had to readjust my focus. I'm not looking at this little one molecule for this model at this particular time point. I'm looking at, okay, what does a reverse joint replacement look like over time? And that's a very different scale to be operating at. So adjusting to that, I think, took a little bit of time for me. And then I hadn't worked in orthopedics before. So I've got to come in, I've got to learn, someone says, they're having an RCR, they're having an ACJ, they're having an RTSR. And I've got to go, okay, well, acronyms, first of all, let's sort that out, get the knowledge base built up. And then look at, okay, how can I apply my previous skills to this? How can I value add to this? How can I contribute in a meaningful way? So it's that big build-up process again.
So it's a contextual shift for you.
Big contextual shift. I think both in terms of the content and then also just the environment. Who you're working with is a big influence on how you do your work and what you're doing in your work. And I think that was a big adjustment for me, definitely.
Now, you just recently got an award from the QUT. You've had a couple of awards in the past, a Dean's Award and a grant, $10,000 research grant.
Yep.
Tell me about this most recent award that you got during the week for your work down at QUT.
Working down with our partners at QUT. I'm still not sure what to make of it. I'm obviously very appreciative of the award. It's one of those...
Tell everyone the name of the award.
It was for excellence in industry collaboration in research. So we have a number of industry partners through Queensland University of Technology, through the ARC ITTC for joint biomechanics, and also just generally the research team down there. So a big part of my role is coordinating with them and trying to see how we can generate value and give them insights that they otherwise wouldn't have. Receiving the award has been a bit odd for me because I think I'm 4 years deep. I still have a bit of imposter syndrome. I'm still working through it. From my point of view, I haven't done anything that I wouldn't have done otherwise. It's just another kind of day at the office for me. And so it feels weird having an award for that.
Most people won't know what an ARC ITTC is. Can you tell people about that and the grant we got for that?
Yeah, so the ARC is the Australian Research Council. The ITTC is Industrial Transformation and Training Centre. So it's a grant scheme run by the Australian Research Council to establish these research centres to promote industry collaboration, training the next generation of researchers, and kind of integrating that all into one package. So the ARC ITTC for joint biomechanics is a research centre that was set up as part of or as a result of a grant from the Australian Research Council at QUT, submitted by, I believe, yourself, Ashish, Professor Yantong Gu, I'm probably mispronouncing that, and the team down there that was originally Quasar back in 2018, 2019, if I'm getting my dates right. And so we were very fortunate to receive the funding from the ARC, which is a massive accomplishment in and of itself, and then got industry sponsors in and industry contributors and collaborators in to be involved in the research. So we've just now reached or getting close to the end of the center. I think it's due to finish in August of this year, if I remember correctly. And it's been this 6-7 year research journey, I guess, with the team at QUT and on all the universities that are contributing.
Yep. I was very proud to see you up on the stage receiving that award. In terms of what you do at the clinic, tell me about something you feel proud of here that you do.
The biggest thing for me in terms of my pride and satisfaction here at the clinic is, how do I describe it? I'm proud of how much we get done for the team size that we have. We have a whiteboard in the research room. I don't know if you had a chance to have a look recently, but there's 20 projects on that board that we're working through. When I started this role, we had, I think, 6. So we've quadrupled the size of our research output in the 4 years that I've been working here, and I'm immensely proud of that. I think that's a major achievement, considering, I mean, we have a relatively small team for what we do. Yeah, I just think that scope and that volume is, I mean, it takes a lot of work. It's you're spinning a lot of plates at the same time, which is an activity I'm sure you're very intimately familiar with. But I'm very happy with what we have achieved and what we are still achieving in terms of that scope.
And we're actually starting to get some of those out and done.
Yep.
I'm super excited about what you and Wally are doing with the database we're working on.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really interesting.
It's going to be amazing.
Just changing the way we structure those databases and how we handle that data and interpret that data opens so many new doors for what we want to do in research.
Tell me about something where you felt stretched here. What are tell me about the challenges.
I think it's the scope is a double-edged sword. You know, we have 20 research projects, and because we have, or 20 plus research projects, and because we have that many projects, I have to, shift back and forth a lot on them to keep everything moving. And so I think that inherently you just end up being a bit stretched in that kind of situation. It's not I'm just going to come into work and have a relaxed Tuesday morning kind of a deal. You have responsibilities and you have ownership I have ownership over the work that I'm doing. And so it's my responsibility to make sure that those things happen. I need to be on top of that. Maybe there's someone who can come in and manage that many projects on the go without any stretch, and in which case, hats off to them. I would love to meet them and buy them several drinks. But for me, that's a big part of this job, and a part of the both the motivation and some of the anxiety that comes into it sometimes.
I thought you were going to mention the time you receive an email from me which says, Tristan, I've got a speech to make in 3 weeks' time. I need you to write it for me and give me a PowerPoint for it.
I mean, I think maybe I'm a little nerd to that at this point. I think I'm kind of par for the course. Not par for the course, but I mean, we're getting better at it. But it's a skill, you develop it.
You're getting really good at it.
Yeah. Well, look, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, I think we've been getting better, which is good.
So tell me, what would it take for you to move to the next step? What would that look like?
That's a tricky question. I think for me, I haven't found that thing necessarily in research where I'm like, this is my thing and this is all I want to do and this is all I care about. It's like you and surgery and shoulder surgery. You're like, this one thing is what I want to do. This is what I want to do well, perfectly, and I'm just going to chase it. And I just don't think I have that yet in research. I think if I find something like that, then I'm like, great, I can throw myself into it. But without that, I'm a bit hesitant. I'm a risk averse kind of guy, and so that kind of colors my approach to things. So yeah, I don't really know. It's kind of the asking you what have you forgotten? Well, I don't know what I've forgotten because I've forgotten it. What haven't you found yet? Well, I don't know what haven't found yet because I haven't found it. And it might come up. It might be something completely different in my life in the future that pivots me away again. But I'll have to wait and see.
So Tristan, I have here something that's very significant to you.
Nice. Love to see it.
Tell everyone what this means.
So
what this actually is. For most people, I imagine it's just a piece of paper
piece
with
of
some
paper,
printing on it.
lots of
But for
words.
Tristan, it's actually pretty important. What is this?
So this is the first ever abstract that I was listed as a co-author on. So my first ever real scientific contribution. So it's a paper from the Critical Care Research Group back in 2019, or I should say it's an abstract from 2019, as part of the Dead Heart Project. So I was a member of a very large and very motivated, successful team that did the preclinical work for ex vivo heart perfusion for heart transplant. So for context, the previous clinical standard for heart transplant or for donor heart transportation was you take the heart, you kind of put some fluid around it, you put it in an esky on ice, and then you run like hell to the hospital and hope you get there in time for the heart to still be good. Which, I mean, this was 2015, 2013, is kind of ludicrous to imagine that the standard for donor heart transplantation was essentially the same as going down for a sausage sizzle, going down to the barbecue. You put your meat on ice and you run. So I was a very small part in that project, but that team, we did the preclinical work, so the animal testing to validate and check a new way of transporting hearts, where you put them into, we call it the ex vivo perfusion rig, but it's essentially a bit of a box where you can circulate fluid through the heart that helps preserve it and keeps it viable for longer. And that means that in an Australian context where you've got 8 or 9 hour flights between cities trying to get organs back and forth, more people get heart transplants, which saves people's lives. So I'm incredibly proud of that work, that my bit part even in that, and what we managed to achieve with those studies. It's like I said, a very formative experience for me in research.
So it was the first scientific publication where you were a co-author.
Yep.
On that publication.
On that publication.
Well done.
Yeah. Big moment.
You certainly remember it very clearly.
Again, I think you need to have those North Star moments in your life. You need to have that, okay, I've done this once, I want to do this again and again and again. And for me, that project and those publications is one of those moments.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a bit like a footballer running on the field for his first grand final match.
Yeah. The roaring crowds are smaller in science. You don't get the applause and the ovations, but it's the same feeling. It's immense pride, and just incredible satisfaction.
Tristan, thank you for coming on to Inside the Shoulder and having a chat to me.
Thank you for having me.
It was a wonderful chat, and I'm very proud to watch your career unfold.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
You've been listening to Inside the Shoulder. I'm Kenneth Cutbush, and I've been talking to Tristan Shuker, my research assistant today. If you've liked this episode, you can find Inside the Shoulder on the major podcast streaming platforms, Apple and Spotify. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening.